means 10% or less on
Right.
those, but it's something.
Yeah,
to
exactly.
kind of help,
Helps them out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna transition into staff and like the requirements and things like that.
Okay.
You kind of already touched on that, but what are the employee requirements? And you said definitely a degree because of NACE.
Yes, and it depends. I mean, if they, all of our lead teachers are required to have a degree.
Mm-hmm.
As Bright Horizons prefers even all of our associate teachers to have a degree. What we do offer, though, if you don't have a degree and you're proving to be committed to this, we offer an ECDA program, which is where the teachers can go online and get their CDA credential. So that's at no cost to the employee, which is huge because it does cost if you don't, work
Right.
this. But so we offer that to get them at least a CDA. And again, we offer the tuition reimbursement if teachers want to go back to school. But definitely we look at education, we look at experience. You have to have a minimum of 2 years documented experience. For Bright Horizons, we prefer that 2 years be in a child care setting, so not nannying or babysitting. We look at it on a case-by-case basis, so depending on what role you're going to play at the center and things like that, you definitely need a 2 years minimum of child care experience as far as PA state goes, but to be considered a assistant group supervisor, and all that. But we look a little bit deeper into that and really try to look for actual child care experience. So you need your education, you need your experience, and then you need your background checks. So that would be your FBI fingerprints, your child abuse, your criminal, and then we also do a private investigation clearance, and it's run through Sterling, and it checks everything from your credit score to your history, in an international and national database. So we don't ever look at the credit scores, but it's just something that's on there. But we do that through Bright Horizons. That's our own private thing. So we don't drug test specifically at this site. It depends again on who your client is. But we do have we do let teachers know that if we were to suspect anything, we would ask them to submit drug tests. So
I didn't even think of that,
So
actually. See what I mean?
yeah.
There's just like little things that I wouldn't even think of.
Yeah, and then I'm trying to think, continual education is the other thing. So we require them to do so many trainings per year. We really kind of supervise that learning too through our own, we have a Bright Horizons University that we assign trainings on and stuff like that. But so they do all of that too. You also have to have, I'm trying to think of all the state stuff. You have to have like 2 written letters of reference. You have to provide your transcripts and things like that. For Bright Horizons, we also do 3 phone references. So that's in addition to your 2 letters.
Right.
But
what are the qualifications to be an administrator?
So you have to have, again, it's the educational piece. Bright Horizons prefers at least 3 to 5 years in a supervisory role. Again, it kind of just depends. We really, really, really like to hire administrators from within. It's very important to us. We have a very strong succession planning program here at Bright Horizons, and it's really about getting people ready for the next step. So we identify people right away that are ready to move into assistant director roles and assistant directors who are ready to move into director roles, and really work with them to kind of keep them warm for positions that are coming. But that's not to say we don't hire outside of the company. It certainly happens, but it's really an intense interview process for an administrative role here. You go through an interview with, if it's a new center, you go through an interview with Bright Horizons folks, and then you go through an interview with the particular client that's interested, and then oftentimes you'll go through a panel interview, which is a bunch of different Bright Horizons RMs, which is regional managers, and other folks who kind of weigh in on the decision as well. Now, if it's an existing center, sometimes that director goes through a teacher panel of teachers who are already in the center, or a parent panel. So it kind of depends. It depends.
That has to be kind of stressful.
It can be a little intimidating.
I would think so. Because I mean, I don't know. You
never
know.
You never know. Because you think you might know what one particular group of parents is looking for, but you don't know what their experience was with the previous director or why they're not even there. So
Exactly.
you don't know what's going to happen on those, but.
What information do you need to know about the family that is entering the center?
So we do what we call an intake meeting with every family. And that is before they even start. They sit down with the teachers and they go through kind of a developmental checklist So we have an infant toddler developmental checklist, we have a preschool, kindergarten, pre-kindergarten developmental checklist, and it's really an opportunity to sit down with them and talk about some of the little things and also some of the bigger things. So like, what allergies do they have, those kind of things. But then it's also kind of digging deeper too into their family, who else lives with you at the home, what do they call you, what do they call grandma, what do they call, what languages do they speak at home, all kinds of different things like that. And it's an opportunity too for them to ask questions about the program. We give them a welcome packet to each classroom that lists kind of what a typical schedule looks like and all that kind of stuff. So the intake meeting for us is really, really important. Now, aside from that, as the paperwork, we have an enrollment agreement.
Okay.
We have an emergency contact form that they have to fill out, which kind of lists who they authorize to pick up, mother's name, father's name, that kind of information, and then allergies, and then special permissions to go for walks or trips, special permissions to have photography, special permissions to have emergency medical care, all kinds of different things on that. And then from when they enroll, they have 60 days to turn in a health appraisal.
Okay.
And that would be something that they would get from their physician, which would list their immunizations and all of that kind of stuff. But they have 60 days from when they enroll to provide that. But
how are the children grouped? So you do like 6 weeks or like a 1-to-1, something?
As far as like into their different classrooms, or
Yeah.
Okay, so we have certain rules as far as the state guidelines. So certainly we can't move children into a classroom sooner unless we're going to follow that state ratio. So let's say we have an infant who's 11 months old and they're moving, walking, talking, doing all this great stuff, and you think, wow, they'd be a great toddler. Unless we can promise that we're going to make that toddler room a 1-to-4 ratio, we can't necessarily move them. So aside from those kind of strict rules with that, we move children when they're ready. We don't have any clear-cut rules to get to any room. So if you're of age to move to the toddler room and you're not walking, but you're ready in so many other ways, we'll go ahead and move you. Or if you're you've just turned 3 and you're getting ready to go to preschool but you're not potty trained yet, but you're ready in every other aspect, we'll still move you. So we definitely that's one of the things that Bright Horizons is really big about. It's kind of like, well, if you move them, like, why not? Why can't we move them? We have the ability to change them in there if they're still potty training, or we have the ability to, help them walk throughout the room and do different things with them, or if they're still on a bottle, we can warm the bottle still. So we're pretty good about that. We really, really, really take what the parents have to say into consideration. So we'll make our recommendation. We'll say like, oh, little Susie's really showing signs that she's just ready to move to that toddler room, and I know she turned 1, a few days ago, and when were you guys thinking? Typically we have those conversations way before they turn of age because we want to prepare them, especially because it's really hard from infants to toddlers. It's just a big emotional thing for parents sometimes. So, and then really truthfully from the 2-year-old classroom to the preschool room, because it's here, the layout is it's down the hall, so that can be frightening. So we have those conversations with parents well before they even get to that age, but it's really kind of just a partnership between the parents, and we ask the teachers kind of what their thoughts are, and do you think they're ready, and what kind of signs have they been showing, and those kind of things. So
what is your curriculum base?
So our curriculum is the world at their fingertips.
Okay.
And it is an emergent curriculum, so that means it is based off of the interests of the children.
Oh,
so
that's awesome.
Yeah, so the teachers are it is way more intense than that even can describe, but we have different components like art smart, math counts, science rocks, well aware, but there's a bunch of kind of sub parts of our curriculum. But basically when the teachers are doing their plans, they want to focus on that group of children, and right now, what are they into? What are they enjoying? What are they experiencing maybe even outside of the center that has made an impact on the classroom? Maybe a group of 3-year-olds are really excited because Johnny just got back from visiting his friends and his family in California or something. They can do an entire plan on that. What if the kids were excited about that? I think the beauty of our curriculum is that there's so much flexibility with it, and that the teachers really kind of have a huge say in what the children are learning. to that note, though, it also can be very hard
Right.
for new teachers to come in who are used to kind of a cookie cutter curriculum
Yeah.
that's all done for you
Mhm.
with worksheets and themes and everything like that. It can be really challenging to come in and find out that you're now responsible for that.
Right.
So there is an adjustment thing there, especially for newer teachers, but our curriculum is really, really, really focused around individual needs of groups and the children, and we use an online system called Teaching Strategies Gold, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with,
No.
but wonderful program that lets the teachers go on. It's online, and the teachers go on and they do observations and documentation on every child, and they'll do that in the forms of photos or videos. And they may do it just in just some kind of verbiage that they put on there. But what they do is they use those observations and those documentations, and they kind of pick categories that those fall in and developmental stages that they fall in. And so they'll take a picture, they'll put it up there, and the parents love it because the parents can see it.
Yeah.
They get a login too. But then they'll kind of quickly check off some boxes of what is this picture demonstrating?
Right.
What developmental level or skill is this showing? And they'll click the boxes. And then in 6 months, all of that documentation will provide an assessment for that child,
Okay.
which really kind of takes the guesswork kind of out of it for the
Right.
teacher because they've just been documenting as they
Taking
would,
data.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and what's really nice, to go back to the curriculum, is that if you're a teacher and you've done all of your documentation and your observations and all of that, it'll generate suggested activities for your group of children. So it'll say, well, maybe out of 20 children, you have 14 who haven't yet had much observations checked with this skill. It'll give you activities to build that skill. And you can put those right into your plans. You can share them electronically with parents so that they can do them at home. I mean, it's really kind of brings it all together.
Yeah.
It's a really
That
nice
is,
system.
yeah, that's unique. I haven't heard of that. I'll have to check
it's pretty
it out.
cool, yeah.
Yeah. What is your discipline policy?
So we use redirection
Okay.
and lots of positive guidance. We do not believe in timeout. It's just not effective. I'll say this: timeout may be very effective for somebody at home on a one-on-one setting. Maybe in group care, timeout just doesn't work. If you've got 10 toddlers and you're trying to put a toddler in timeout who really truly doesn't understand the concept of timeout yet, and you're trying to put them in timeout, but you're going and changing diapers and doing all this stuff, you forgot that little Susie was in timeout, and then you got it, so we use redirection. So if you're having a particularly tough time, maybe you need to go over to the cozy area and read a book. Or maybe you need to go to Miss Kelly's group and read, a book over there, or maybe do some puzzles or things like that. So we really believe in kind of redirecting them away from what's making it so challenging for them. That being said, it doesn't always work. We have to have some tough conversations sometimes with parents and things like that. But we do a lot of observation. The teachers do a ton of observation, so it's easy to see trends, and it's easy to kind of see things, especially with biting. The minute we feel that we have a biting issue, we start tracking it. What happened before? What happened during the bite? What happened after? Those kind of things. So, but yeah, certainly a lot of positive guidance for the children and redirection to different activities. And every room has a cozy area in it, so it's a very kind of seemingly private spot for them to kind of there's pillows in there. The older groups have some stress balls, so there's different things that they can do. The one room has like a board with like a I feel angry or I feel sad thing you can move around. So
That's cool.
yeah.
My last 2 sections are on family and safety.
Okay.
So can children bring toys from home?
They can, because a lot of times toys from home comfort a child. Especially if they're new to group care, or if they've maybe been on vacation for 2 weeks and they have to come back to the center. I mean, to tell them they can't bring something from home that's a comfort would be really hard, and it wouldn't really be fair. So what we do is we let the children bring in something from home, and typically they'll have that for about 15-20 minutes at drop off, and then they know to go put it in their cubby. It's something that we teach and something that we do every day. So we say, is it okay if Brown Bear goes in his cubby now? It's time to move on to some of our toys. And then they'll put it in their cubbies. Every child has a labeled cubby. And then it can come back out again at nap time. Certainly with that being said, there are some toys that are we do not allow anything with guns. Things like that, we really try to let people know that they're not okay here. But yeah, I mean, certainly there are days when they get piled up in the cubbies and you're like, oh my goodness. But it might mean a lot to a child to be